Pellegrini racing forward to support Zekko and Mkhitaryan. Calafiori's done brilliantly. Here's Zekko, and Edin Dzeko does one. Edin Dzeko always does, it seems, in the UEFA Europa League.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano, Gianni Dellacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jazar. All roads lead to Rome, and now, as I said last week on the Calcio Guys, all hopes come from Rome, at least for the Italian teams in Europe. With Adriano Donato, Gianni Dellacoli, I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni, and we're starting off with a friend. Let's call him a friend of the show, president of the Brian Cristante fan club, Massimo Riccio.
Oh, man. Mas, how's it going, bello?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'll try to keep my Cristante hate to a minimum.
There we go.
Did you like that when I posted that on social media? Did you like the title I gave you?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Definitely championing him.
So at the end of the show, I'm going to say, Mas, where can we find all your work with the Cristante Club? And you're going to plug away at the end, okay? So just be ready.
Yeah. The shameless plug.
There you go.
Before we get into the Roma talk with this Europa League, what would you like to do with our guests? We want to know how you became a Roma fan.
I mean, it's hard to say. I remember when I was younger, because my grandfather likes to smoke his cigars in the garage, and I think CFMB was broadcasting it over the radio before I ever actually seen a Serie A game. So I'd be sitting there listening in with him, and there would just be a lot of Roma. I'd hear the usual names, the usual suspects, Totti, De Rossi, you name it. And then finally, I was able to catch it on TV. So it's been a long love-hate relationship ever since.
Beautiful.
And
Jai, you want to hit him away?
Yeah. So basically, like, today was a very stressful game. I unfortunately was at work, so I didn't have a chance to watch it, but I'm pretty sure you did. So what were your thoughts about today's game? A lot of people weren't really satisfied by Roma's performance, but I think it was actually good enough, in my opinion.
Well, look here. I came in a bit late. I came in around the 30th minute on the game. I tried to update you also through Twitter, which was really funny. But from what I saw towards the end of the first half, it wasn't so bad. And then the second half started. I think Ajax got in their sub with Brony, and then I'm like, so it'll be all right. We'll hold it to 0-0, hopefully. Absolute beauty of a through ball. Caught my favorite player, Cristante, flat-footed, and the entire back line. And it was scary from that point onwards. They got the first goal in. They had us on the back foot. I mean, not that we were putting a lot of pressure on them anyway. Only towards the end when Zekko got in that tap-in were we really kind of moving the ball forward. But other than that, Ajax had us on our heels, and it wasn't looking very good. We got away lucky. I mean, VAR came in and saved us on that foul on Mickey. So it's not looking good moving forward against Manchester United. But I mean, anything can happen. We got 14 days. Hopefully, someone gets healthy on the back line to kind of help us out, because that's a big issue the team's been dealing with all season. And we lost Mancini to a yellow to the next game. So who's next up for us? Davide Santon? Scary thoughts. You got Santon, Cristante, and Ibanez. I mean, I have nothing against Ibanez. He's been an absolute revelation this year, along with a couple of other players. I'm sure we'll get into it later, but it's not going to be enough. And definitely not with Zekko spearheading our attack. He was putting zero pressure on that ball. You see it in his body language now, too. He's just phoning it in. Like, I mean, look, thank you for your service, but I think it's time he goes. We got Mayoral, who, when he got on, you saw it. He was pressing the line. He was coming back to get the ball, too. So you need someone who can move. Zekko is not that anymore. I don't think Mayoral is going to be the long-term solution for this team either, but it's good enough right now until we could kind of address those issues. The Friedkins got a lot of work ahead of them right now for the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, before we get into those nitty-gritty topics, Mass, I just wanted to ask, I guess the big elephant in the room this season for Roma, the league is one thing, and we can totally tell Europa is a total different animal with this team. You see two different teams, two different performances. All of Italy is, praying for Roma to do something in Europa League to maybe go all the way, maybe win the whole tournament. But what do you make of that? Like that, the mentality and the mindset in Serie A compared to what we're seeing in Europa League. This is a team now, the only Italian team left in a European competition. They're on to the semifinals in the Europa League. Albeit it's not Champions League, but still it's a high quality tournament as well. So what do you make of that? Is that on Fonseca? Is that on the players? Are they really putting all their eggs in this Europa League basket so they can come away with some sort of satisfaction at the end of this season? Where do you point the finger?
It's hard to tell with this team. You never know what you're going to get whenever they take the field, regardless of competition. Yeah, they've been a bit of a breath of fresh air come Europa League, which is fantastic. Yeah. But, the one thing that I've been saying time and time again whenever I'm talking about this team, they're lacking some form of identity or some kind of backbone. Like, you could go back and look at different instances. Let's take Serie A, for example, the game against Benevento where we drew 0-0. I fully expected us to lose that game. We were not looking good. You saw the body language of a lot of the players on the field. Like, no one seems to be proud to put on that jersey. Look, I'm blessed. I grew up in an era watching some great players who are proud to throw on that jersey and they'll fight for it. You know what I mean? But Absolutely. This team, we're really lacking those players that are just generally willing to put it all out there for the badge. Also, it's a different generation of soccer. It's very rare you'll catch a player like that. But then if you go look at Europa League, I think, honestly, in my opinion, the best bet right now, we're not going to finish top 4. Like, I'm going to be realistic about it. Like, I'm not going to be like, we have a shot. Yeah. Like, right now, your best bet, put all your eggs into Europa League. I don't even think we could do it there, which is even scarier considering the lack of depth we have and a lot of the injuries we've been plagued with. And like you said, everyone's like, mocking us, like, yeah, it's Europa League, but the teams we're playing against and the teams that are left, there are no pushovers either. You got the Manchester Uniteds of the world, you got Manchester, you've got Villarreal, you've got Arsenal. They're not bad teams in their own right. Some of those teams have their own history as well. They can come in and really do some damage, so we can't take it lightly just because it's Europa League. It's not Champions League, sure, you don't have that prestige, but at this point, it's our best bet right now because I really don't think we have what it takes to finish top 4 in the league.
We actually we got a question from Roma Club Philadelphia, kind of staying on topic. Looking forward to the semis. What are your thoughts on Manu? They're in second place, but some say they failed upwards, so pretty much they overachieved. Second part to the question: Smalling only played 10 games so far. If he gets the clearance to play, do you think he could be a difference maker? So, storyline here: the ex-Man U guy could play.
Yeah, the return to Old Trafford for Smalling if he's fit, right? It's always
that's true.
It's always bittersweet when you come back to play against the former club. I'm sure Stecklenburg felt the same way today at the Olimpico. So I don't know. They're not giving Manchester United a far enough credit. Yeah, they're punching above their weight, but that team's clicking really well under Ole. I'm gonna give them full credit. Bruno Fernandes has been a man on fire. You can't discount the youth they've got either. You got Rashford, who's quick, who can make an impact. You've got Cavani, who's somehow got that Benjamin Button factor like Zlatan, where it's like they still keep getting better with age. Like, you can't count these guys out. Do I think we could take it to them and bring on a fight, barring a healthy team? For sure. I honestly think we can. Do I think that'll be the case? I don't know. 14 days is a bit of a short span. I don't know if Smalling will be fit. We're also, like I said, we're down Mancini because of that yellow into the next round. So It'll be tough. But I really don't think that the three-man backline is going to work in our favor. Like Fonseca is going to have to probably adjust the formation. I doubt he will because he's very stubborn. And that's all he's been rolling with. But if we keep rolling with that, like if we roll with that formation and the way we look like today, it's going to be scenes from '07 again. Like I'm really not looking forward to it.
So we touched upon it a bit before, but Giallorossi Lupo on Twitter has a question that kind of related to Zekko. He asks, is Zekko still a big, impactful player for Roma? He scored tonight, but there was hardly any pressure up top. Mayoral coming on and causing hassle for Ajax straight away and slowing the game. So that was his comment. And I know you touched upon it, but maybe you want to elaborate more, like you're more on Zekko and potential replacements in the future.
I think there's a fracture in the relationship with Zekko and the club. I don't know what happened with him, Fonseca, or maybe Pallotta with previous ownership before the Friedkins took over. Zekko's not our answer anymore. Thank you for everything he's done. Like he's been great when he was, but he's beyond that point now. You see it in his body language on the field. You see him getting frustrated when he's not getting the service he wants. Like he's not gonna make that run for that ball. Like if that in ball from Calafiori didn't somehow deflect to his foot, I really don't think that was a goal. I really don't think so.
I agree.
Zekko's not mobile. Yeah, he can hold up the plate if you literally throw the ball at him. But nah, we got to move on from Zekko. Try and get what you can from him while we still have him. Try to get what we can through a transfer. But he's not going to be he's done. Thank you for your service. You've been great. Thank you for the memories. But we're on to the next. We got to look for another answer.
No, it's you know what? It's a bit sad. I've been saying it, probably since we probably almost started this podcast. I don't even know when I started saying it, but I've always said Roma has really been Zekko dependent. When Zekko was on, this team was really playing well, and that was really their only, like you mentioned, Mass, their only real guy spearheading this attack. Now, okay, they have Mayoral. He's a bright spot. His goal on the weekend, fantastic solo play there to get past the goalie. But yeah, it's a bit sad to see how things parted ways. I don't want to say it's another Icardi situation where they stripped captaincy and things went to shit, but because he had other stuff, off the field stuff that was really affecting the team's morale. But again, it's sad to see Zekko dwindle out like this. Like you mentioned, Mas, I don't know where the fractured relationship was, if it was with Fonseca, if it was with management, with Friedkin coming in, I don't know. But listen, I think if they can ride him out and hopefully get something out of him, money-wise, I think it'll be good. But another player that me personally have had mixed emotions about, we've seen him get called up to the Italian national team as well, but our boy Enzo from Six Side Calcio, another great Calcio podcast, asked us on Twitter, thoughts on Mancini's growth this season. I don't know if you've been harsh on him. I don't know if you've been a fan of Mancini, but I just want to hear what you have to think about his play as of late for Roma.
He's been solid. I can't complain. He's not hurting us, but look at the three-man back we're playing with. It's not like he's playing with another true center back next to him. You got Brian Cristante, It's very difficult to get the best out of a player and to have him kind of develop when you're not playing with like a true center back next to him. You know what I'm saying? Like you always have those pairings. I think he probably would thrive in a four-man backfield. It would kind of relieve some pressure too if you're playing four at the back. But under three right now, he's doing fine. But you got Cristante starting next to you, so it's like how much confidence do you have at the guy to your left or to your right when he's not naturally that position? So I feel like he's been doing great. He's not hurting us, but I would like to see him play with three solid center backs next to him. Get Smalling back, get Kumbula back. They're all injured.
That's true.
You get a mix of Mancini, Ibanez, and Kumbula or Smalling. I think it'd probably be better for him. Right now, I can't really complain. He's been decent, and that's all I can ask for, considering how dark this season's pretty much been for us.
Just another side point to that. Like, do you feel he's a bit reckless at times, Mas? I don't know. I've seen in the past, like this guy takes cards way too easily. I like that type of play. Like, for me, Gattuso back in the day with Milan, that was like the best of times. But I don't know. Do you find him a bit reckless at times going into challenges and stuff?
Sometimes yes, but let's take today's foul for example. I mean, it was pretty harsh that he got a yellow. I've seen him go in for worse and getting nothing.
That's
so
true. No, for sure.
But you need someone who's like that, who's going to impose his physicality too. You know what I mean? You don't want the opposing team strikers to be running around willy nilly. You can't have them being like, oh, like I don't have to worry about it. This guy's not going to press me. He gets in your face, and I'd have no problems with that. It's a bit dangerous, obviously, barring cards, but like I said, we'll see. He's been doing fine. It's serviceable right now,
Yeah, that's well said.
Has there been any other young players that have impressed you? I know, obviously, Zaniolo's the big name out of the youth of Roma. He's hurt. He's the big name, but has there been anybody else that's impressed you this season?
Ooh, my boy Gonzalo VR. What a what a revelation this kid's been. I like what I'm seeing.
I feel like we're talking to Pizza Calcio right now. They're big fans of
you know what? Look, there's a short list I got. Like, I mean, the biggest concern, obviously, Zaniolo, when we had him, he's been great. Unfortunate 2 ACL injuries. I don't know if he'll be the same when he gets back. It's going to be very touch and go, and we got to be very careful. Barring Zaniolo, which would be like the standout, obviously, Gonzalo VR, Ibanez has been great. I'm really liking Ricky Calafiori. From the very, very little we've seen from him, he's been fantastic. We saw flashes of it today. He got that ball in, it got deflected and wound up at Zekko, but the kid's making the right plays. He's been great. So we'll see how they develop over time if they obviously use our youth. That's another question too with Italians and our mentality with going with other players versus promoting our youth and kind of developing them. So, I mean, from what I've been seeing, there's been a lot of bright spots, a lot of bad, but we're not in a position to say where we need to blow it all up. Like, we have pieces we can move forward with. So keep the young core going, keep the VRs. I think he's on loan. So I think we should make a bid to keep him. I think Ibanez we bought outright from Atalanta, so that should be fine. And just building pieces around them and also keeping Zaniolo in mind. Like, there's a lot of pieces I think that can go. But the core group right now, I'd probably go VR, Ibanez, Zaniolo, Calafiori, Veretout. He's not, I mean, he's how old is he? 28 maybe?
28, 29, I believe.
29. Keep Veretout, he's been great in the midfield, winning us that ball. He's been great as well. Who else? That's pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot we can address in transfers, but the problem is if the money's available. And we got to kind of offload a lot of players we have out on loan from really bad transactions from previous management. So,
what about Pellegrini?
Oh, Pellegrini's he's fine. This is the best I've seen him all year was today. He looked great today. He was all over the field. He was winning balls. He was battling. I mean, Zekko kind of got a ball through to him, but it was a little long. But he made a great run. It was a great build-up play by him. So I like Pellegrini. Like, I really hope he's not one of those guys where we kind of like send him off somewhere the same way we did like a Florenzi. Like, he's a Roma boy. Keep him. He's going to be all right.
And he's looking good with the captain's armband too.
Fantastic.
If I can just add that.
Fantastic. It's finally to see someone with a captain's armband that's kind of showing like some fight, that's showing some pride to be proud to be wearing that armband. So the body language looks good. He's been looking great. So let's hope. That's all we can do right now.
So obviously, like, we're happy with Europa. Unfortunately, the league is not going so well. So Pizza Calcio asks if Roma parts ways with Fonseca, do you think Sarri's going to be the guy to replace him?
I wouldn't even go.
Ask the question the way it's written, though. It's funny. It's a little play on words.
Oh, the way. Okay, well, will Roma be Sarri if they part ways with Fonseca? That's what the way they asked it.
It's a great play on words.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I've been of the school where I don't think Sarri's going to be the answer. don't know if Fonseca's staying. I think there's rumors he might be heading out the window because I just saw something before getting on with you guys where Gianni, I don't know if you're aware, but Gattuso is not coming back to Napoli next year apparently.
Yeah, that's been in talks for
It's an
a
absolute
very big while. Yeah.
They're saying Fonseca, ADL really likes Fonseca, so I mean, take him. I'm not going to be upset. He doesn't look like coach. He's not that typical coach where he looks like he inspires the fight within his team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you see it on the sidelines. Like even when we scored the goal, Zekko scored the goal. Like he didn't look genuinely happy or fired up. Like I would have been streaking down the sidelines. You know, like, I don't know. Show some life. He's very lifeless. Going back to who I think we maybe should. I wouldn't go Sarri. I wouldn't even go Allegri. I've been of the school of always saying promote Alberto De Rossi from our youth system as the head coach. He's been doing wonders with our youth system. It's a super hot take, very, very niche take to have him come up, but I would definitely go with him. He's been doing great. I mean, our youth squad looks fantastic. It's going to be nothing but good to see maybe have him behind the bench in an ideal world where you have Calcio coming up who's played under him. You've got some guys from the system that could come up and they'll have that. Hello? You guys there?
What happened?
So Calcio would have a rapport with him. It'd be great. I mean, you have someone with ties to the club who's been a part of our youth system and who's been working wonders with them. So if I'm the Friedkins, I wouldn't even look outside anymore and going for someone who's been tried and tested. I'd go with someone within and promote Alberto De Rossi. And look, I mean, we got Daniele De Rossi, his son, now as a technical staff with the Italian national team. And obviously he wants a career in coaching. What better way to start bringing back our club legends that way too? His dad's got success with the youth team. He could kind of learn as well that way too. So bring him in as the youth squad director and have Alberto De Rossi get back with the men and really maybe shake things up, hopefully, and get something going.
Wow. I think forget the Friedkins. I think we need Mr. Mass Riccio in charge at Roma. You know, these are some great
armchair GM guys. Trust me.
No, but you know what? To bring the legends back to Roma, for me, just before I move on to the next question, it was just so sad to see, you know, in the Pallotta era at the end of it, Totti gone, like almost burned him away. I'm looking at the picture behind you, Mass. I see Francesco Totti. That's for us. In our generation, you're a bit older than myself and Nicholas. You're about, you know, Johnny's age, but those are idols for us, right? Those are legends of our game. And De Rossi is another name in there. So to see maybe those guys come back to the club as important roles, I think would be huge for Roma.
It would be great. I mean, I say it's been karma for all the times I've kind of ragged on the Juventini with the way you guys have treated your club legends like Del Piero and the like until you guys start to bring them back a bit. But
don't worry, Milan's been burning legends. I'm a Milan fan. Milan's been burning legends for years.
No, it's sad to see the way they treat these club legends like that, man. But the thing is that I think De Rossi would be a logical move back to the club. Totti, I would like to see maybe in some sort of role, but the problem is that I had spoken to Gianni about this. He has his own talent agency for athletes and soccer players. So I don't know if there's a conflict somewhere there where he might not be able to unless he steps away from that. So, look, time will tell. It's sad to see with what Pallotta did, icing both of them out. I mean, you had De Rossi going and play in Argentina. You know, like, I mean, look, he looked great. I actually watched Boca Junior games for De Rossi. You know, like, he looked fantastic. It was just so weird to see him in anything but Roma red or the Azzurri blue. It's just strange.
Yeah, no, I agree. But even if there is that conflict of interest with Totti and his agency, like even to have some sort of just an ambassador role, you know, I see in Milan, you know, with Daniele Massaro, Franco Baresi, you know, guys of just to be the show, you know, just the show. This is, you know, our brand ambassador. You know, exactly, right. So it wouldn't be a bad idea, but I think it would be huge for Roma if that can happen. But before we continue on Roma talk with you, Mas, it's interesting. I was looking at our social media questions on Instagram. We've never gotten a question from this account before, but they ask. It's actually Nick DG11 asks, Gianni, as a Napoli fan. I was so close. I was trying to not laugh the whole way through. I was looking down at my phone. I didn't want to make eye contact, but yeah, Nick wants to know because apparently we can't just talk on the podcast. But as a Napoli fan, how does Gianni feel seeing Roma advance to the semifinals of Europa League? I don't know if that's a jab or what, but
Gianni,
what do you think?
the Napoli side of Gianni doesn't really care. It's good. It's nice to see Roma succeed. The Roma side of Gianni is super happy to see Roma in the semifinal of a major competition, and maybe they might make it through to the finals, and I might actually be excited for once to see one of my club teams actually compete for a European trophy. So it's not very often you get to see that, unless you're a Milan or a Juve fan, you get to see your team play for a European title. So I'm excited for it, honestly. But the Napoli side of it's like, okay.
It's good for Napoli and Serie A because we'll be extended across 2 comps, and you guys can just focus on Serie A, right? So
that's it.
That's what a lot of people need to look at. A lot of people are ragging on Roma. Yeah, Europa League, you guys are going to get slapped. But, we're playing 2 competitions here. It's fine.
That's true.
Let them talk.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. I know you kind of said it before. You don't see Roma obviously finishing in the top 4, but 8 games left. 8 games left. Torino, Atalanta, Cagliari, Sampdoria, Crotone, Inter, Lazio, and Spezia. So some pretty tough opponents. You got the derby coming up. What do you expect from Roma in these final 8 matches?
Look, I'm going to have the same attitude I did coming into this season. I have no expectations because we never know who's going to take the field with the 11 guys. Sometimes they come out gunning. Sometimes we don't know. If going back to the Lazio fixture coming up, the next derby, if it's anything like the last one, it's going to be a lot worse. The body language was terrible on that team. Zekko looked lifeless. It was terrible. It was embarrassing. I turned that TV off. It doesn't make sense. Wow. They look awful against Lazio. Lazio, I have to say, fine. They're a fantastic team. They got Ciro Immobile. I hate him. It's by blood, I have no choice. But I'm happy that, especially some of our friends who are Lazio fans, got Immobile. I've always been a big fan of Immobile. I hate to see him play for the other side of Rome, but it's good to see him in form and doing well. But the big issue to adjust to, I think I'd seen a tweet a while back from somewhere on Toxic Roma Twitter. If you go back and look at the top 4 teams, all the teams that finished top 4, their goal differential was always 28 to 30 plus. And I went back and did some digging because I'm a numbers guy. And right now Roma is at a goal differential of +9. And we're sitting at 7th. The rest of the teams outside, I think, of Milan this year is at 22 in second place. We're miles away from, I think, competing. And it's held true. I went back, look back the last decade. Every time we finished with 30-plus goal differential, we were finishing top 4, second. We won in 2001, so it shows. And all the years that we didn't finish, we were just outside the top 6. So we need to address scoring right now. We can hold down teams. By all means, jam up the midfield and block teams up, but we need to score. These 0-0, 1-1s aren't going to cut it. So like I said, there's a lot that needs to be addressed on this team, especially in terms of scoring and secondary scoring. I think it shows that we're lacking Zaniolo because he really added that explosiveness. And I'd like to see what he can do with Mayoral, Mkhitaryan, and Veretout in the mid and Pellegrini. Hopefully he comes back stronger for next year and we can see. Obviously, you don't want to rush him because it's very finicky injuries. We've been an absolute ACL graveyard, this team. There's something wrong with the training or technical staff that we have so many ACL type injuries over the course of the years. There's a lot of stuff they got to really touch on and take a look at. But I really don't think. I don't have high hopes against Torino this week. Let's be honest. I sound like a pessimist. I don't want to be too much you guys always kind of rag on Monaco where it's Juve is not really good. There's nothing to look at. But look, as a Juve, if I was a Juve fan, I wouldn't even be upset right now with the state of the team. Like, you're at a crossroads, kind of like Roma is. Like, it's either we're not in win now mode, that's for sure, but we have the right pieces. You got to start building and making the right decisions to build around your key pieces. I really think this year, write it off for Roma anyway. I mean, I didn't really go in with high expectations, so I mean, at this point, just write it off. Start looking at transfer windows now. Try and get some money. Try and offload the bad transactions from the Pallada era. The Friedkins have a lot of housekeeping ahead of them. They really do. Before we could kind of turn the ship around. But it's not all doom and gloom. We have the right pieces in place for certain areas of the field. So we just got to address the holes and maybe build some depth. Get a better coach. I mean, Fonseca, I frankly don't think is going to cut it. It was a nice experiment. Great. But I don't think he's the right guy for the job.
So I know we've had many discussions before. I'm happy you're on because I kind of echo some points you bring up. But now that you're here, one thing that we always talked about is a lack of passion from the team. Do you think maybe this deep Europa League run will create some form of a passion within the team, or might spark some form of like unity between the players? Do you think that's a possibility?
I mean, sure. I think it goes deeper than just making a run in a competition, though. Like, you gotta be in the dressing room getting excited to throw on that jersey. You can't just be like, oh, because we made a deep run, I finally believe in the cause. No, you gotta, from day one, when you step into training camp and you start getting together with the team, you're getting ready to start the season, you gotta be proud to be putting on that jersey. Like, it's not something you develop over time. Like, for example, look at Florenzi, Roma boy. We've shipped him off to PSG, but he was the last person I could think of outside of like Nainggolan, Totti, De Rossi that were proud to throw on that jersey and fight for it. Where is he now? He's at Paris Saint-Germain on loan, which is fine. I honestly think if we could bring him back, slot him in at the right, he could easily walk in on the right side of the field for us. Karsdorp's not the answer. He looks good. Liability on defense, and he's lacking that finishing touch in the final third. Like, you saw that today. Like, he could get up there with the ball, but then what else? So I think we bring back Florenzi. He was happy to be wearing the jersey. You saw it. He's a Roma boy, grown and raised. Bring him back. We brought back El Shaarawy too, who after a couple of spells with Milan and Monaco and a lot of injuries, he found the breath of life at Rome. He looked great. He was happy to be wearing that jersey. He was proud to play for the team. We got him back. I mean, a bit later in his career, which is fine, but he still has that passion to put on that jersey. I mean, next up would be Pellegrini, but I mean, he's slowly going to get there once he gets his confidence back too, because you see it. I mean, he's great. I'm sure he looks like he wants to wear the jersey, but we'll see now. He's got the captain's armband. It's a big responsibility, especially for a club like Rome, if you look back at all the guys who have worn the armband for us as well. So hopefully that kind of gets Pellegrini back going again and proud to wear the jersey. I mean, who else? I'm really liking Smalling. Smalling looks like he's happy to be at Rome as well. He's another player who, with barring injuries and having some issues at Manchester, we brought him in. Some guys just need a change of scenery. Look at El Shaarawy after all his injuries and bouncing around between Liga and Milan. He looked great. He was happy. Smalling looks happy to be with us. He wanted to come back. Keep those guys. You got to keep those guys. So, do I think a deep run in Europa League is going to really kind of spark the rest of the team? No, but we got some guys who are proud to wear their jersey, but I think it's a culture issue. I think they got to address that in the offseason as well.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot, like you mentioned, Mass. Like you said, from top to bottom, I think there definitely has to be a shakeup.
There's an identity crisis happening with that team right now. We're in between. We just got new ownership. I mean,
and it's expected, right? It's expected. You know, you can't just say you're gonna flip the switch and okay, we're going from one ownership to another, and everything is gonna be good, right? Like we have to be realists too, right?
Yeah, no, the Friedkins took on an absolute nightmare of a team. Like, they didn't get the team in a very good condition either. So they got some. They seem genuine about their intentions with the team. They're a lot more present. They were there at the game today. You know, more than I can say about Jimmy Pallada. So, I mean, look, it wasn't all bad with Pallada, but towards the end, you saw it kind of caught up to us. A couple of bad transactions here and there, really poorly spending the Allison money and not really allocating it to the right pieces. So, I mean, look, the Freakins are going to have to do some cleanup work. It's not going to be an overnight switch overnight. I think there's going to be a good 2 years maybe before we could see Roma maybe fighting again, barring any other bad moves. So,
yeah.
But it looks good.
I just hope they get the time they need, right? Like you're mentioning 2 years, maybe 3 years. I just hope, because in Italy, you know how it is, right?
It's right now.
Everything needs to be done now. Forget the future. Everything. It's a now. Like, what have you done for me lately? Everything is now.
Yeah.
I just hope that Roma gets the time they need. Exactly.
No, that's the problem, and I think every kind of sport is guilty of that, barring certain legacies of the team. I mean, we've only got one Scudetto. I mean, we've had some success, like recently at one Scudetto in 2001. I mean, we've had some great teams, but look, the Freakins got their work cut out for them. They seem to be on the right track. I mean, there's a lot that we need to kind of reverse. Maybe bring back a couple players we have out on loan, see how they do again because of the situation that was set up for them at the time when we brought them in. So, look, it's not all doom and gloom. There's going to be a lot of growing pains. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. It's going to be a roller coaster. So the best I can say for the rest of the fans is strap in because it's going to be a rough 2 years.
Yeah, and you're mentioning scrap, quote unquote scrap this season. Call it write it off this season. But listen, they are in 7th place. They're a point out of, I believe, 6th place behind Lazio. I think it's either 4 or 5 points behind Napoli. First off, because you mentioned 2 things I want to touch upon. First off, are they gonna get it back into Europa League? Is number 1, and 2. You mentioned the coach. Get rid of Fonseca. Do you even attempt to start off the year with him, or should Roma be looking for a replacement now so they can start off on the right page come this summer, come off season into next season to start off the year right? And who would you bring as well?
Like I said, let's start off with the first half, which was we're sitting in 7th, right? 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a tough climb, and like I said, we don't really have the healthiest of teams right now, so it'll be tough to kind of crawl your way into Europa League again. It's gonna be hard. We got to stay healthy. That's been the biggest issue all year, and we've got to hopefully start scoring more because we're definitely not doing that either in Serie A.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, right off Champions League. Don't even think Champions League.
Yeah, no.
We're fighting. We're fighting specifically for Europa now.
Fair.
We go Europa. I would like to. The optimist in me is hoping they do. As for Fonseca, like I said, I would start vetting for a coach now. Start looking.
Okay.
I ideally, like I said, my ideal dream situation would be we promote Alberto De Rossi from our youth team. But I wouldn't even know who would be the best fit. I wouldn't want Sarri because Sarri just strikes me as a better, more successful Fonseca, where he kind of forces his system on a team. We don't have the pieces to play Sarri ball, so I don't think he's a great fit.
So fine, Sarri is not the right fit. But if I start naming names of guys from teams that are below you, you look at the news. Vincenzo Italiano is a big name. De Zerbi at Sassuolo, I'm a big fan of. Is another name that surfaces a lot with what he's been doing with Sassuolo. Juric at Hellas Verona. These are other names that maybe can possibly be. I mean, I don't want to say they're available because they are at their respective teams. But would you go for any of those?
I'd like Sassuolo's coach, considering the teams that he's had. He hasn't had stellar teams, but he's made the best of them. He makes the pieces he has work for him. You need a coach like that, especially if we're gonna like I said, we're gonna be in basically a rebuild kind of phase, like a tooling phase. I think he'd be the best fit. He wouldn't be a bad look either. I'd give him a look, but the thing is, we can't have that situation where it was when we had Di Francesco after that Champions League run. The year after, we sack him maybe 3/4 of the year in, and you have Ranieri come in to just kind of guide the team, just stay water with the team. You can't have that. I think if we're going to move on from Fonseca, we need to get a coach, appoint him at the end of the season, and then they start training camp with him right out, clean slate, move forward. We can't have these mid-season handoffs anymore. It's not going to work.
I like the way that sounds.
I have a question for you, Mass, and there's only one right answer to this one. Which trophy is better, the Maple Green Cup, the Bonsai Tree, or the Europa League trophy? There's only one right answer here.
Nah, I'm not going with the Mr. Miyagi Bonsai Tree, guys. It's not wax on, wax off.
Mr. Miyagi.
It's good for the environment.
The amount of times I've seen Jerry Mancini throw that thing on Twitter.
I was just going to say.
Oh, man, it burns me because it's like, you see, like, Florenzi looks soulless holding that tree. It's like, this can't be a trophy. You see it in his face when he's holding it in that picture. It's like, did we actually just win a tree? I got Europa League. I got Europa League. Let the Laziali and the rest of Serie A rag us, man. I'm fine with a Europa League championship.
I was gonna say
it's a fantastic championship to win.
Of course.
The only right answer was the Bonsai Tree, because can you plant the Europa League trophy in the ground and it'll grow and you know,
we're gonna have
what do trees do? They take in oxygen, they convert oxygen. I don't even know. I
don't paid attention in worried class. About our carbon footprint as a soccer club, guys.
I think that Juventino
maybe they can find a way to produce
something more recently than Juventus. Oh no, actually no, never mind. I'm not talking about titles.
European
title. On European soil, and then home soil.
It's not honestly like the bonsai tree is funny because I laugh about it too. It's like
it's such a meme. I know,
but what made me feel better is that I think I don't remember if I tweeted it out too. Is that every time I see that picture of Florenzi, I tweet him out winning I think it was like the domestic cup for Ligue 1 with PSG. I'm like, it's good to see him holding proper silverware for once. It hurts so good, but
yeah, but for a guy like Florenzi, you have to be happy for him.
I'm more relieved. I thought it was a permanent transfer, but it's a loan, so hopefully we could bring him back because I think he could slot in on the right side on that team. The team we have right now, he walks in on that squad.
That's fair.
Another question, kind of moving away from Roma, kind of staying in Rome though. The Italian government announced for the Euros at least 25% capacity. So as we know, Italy plays the 3 games at the Stadio Olimpico. So some guys like Pellegrini, like Immobile, Acerbi, they're going to be playing at their home stadium. Just how much do you think it's going to be a boost to those players after a whole year not playing in front of anybody? The possibility of playing up to 18,000 fans. We hope that this happens, right? We know what this pandemic thinks, could change in a second. But how much of a boost do you think playing in front of the home fans? Obviously it's not going to be packed, but it's better than nothing at this point.
I don't think people really understand the importance of having your fans there. Like the more I'm watching Serie A and games where like across all sports where there's not one fan in the stands, it's quiet. It's not the same. Your fans, like, I mean, I've seen some people tweet some stupid stuff like, oh, like the fans should be calling out man. That's why it doesn't help. But like, no, the fans are there to cheer your team. It helps to have the fans. Trust me, I really think it'd be a big boost. I mean, God willing that we're able to have 25% capacity at the Olimpico for the Euros. I think it changes the game, especially at the home as our home turf. You're gonna see these guys. It's gonna kick back in. It's gonna be like the fans give you a second wind when you hear them cheer for you. It's a whole other feeling to play in front of people who are passionate for your team. You're lacking that now. Yeah, the players, it's sad to see they're playing in empty stadiums, but it's their job at the end of the day also. But to have the people who really appreciate your team, they eat, breathe, sleep, the Azzurri or Roma or whoever, it's going to make a difference. I really think so. I don't think they're professionals, right? At the end of the day, they could play fans, no fans. But I really think when you have people cheering you on, it gives you something to really fight for because you see it there. You're not just thinking, oh, they're like watching behind the screen. Like they're there chanting for you. I really think it makes a difference to have the fans there. Obviously, with the pandemic, you want it to be done safely. We don't want it to turn into some sort of super spreader event just because we wanted to have fans there and generate revenue for the Euro.
That's well said.
But barring that we're able to do it safely, enough people are maybe vaccinated by then, hopefully. I don't see it being an issue if the necessary precautions are taken, and I really think it would really be a boost to the guys. We have a fantastic team going into this Euro. One of the more talented ones that I've seen in years right now. It looks good. We could be a dark horse. If the fans are there, I think they do a lot better too. It's that second wave of energy you get from the fans cheering you on.
Yeah, that's you know what, Matt said. That's well said, and I like that you brought up. You know, the forget the selfish point of view. I remember when COVID first came to be, right? First popped off. You know, you saw a lot of fans selfish. Oh, what do you mean no fans in the stadiums? This and that. You know, guys, this is still serious, right? This is still a serious thing. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Because in this day and age, everything's a business. Everything is money, money, money. But at the same time, to be done safely, like you mentioned, I think is huge. You mentioned the team going there. Unfortunately, I think we're all in the same boat in saying that. Well, first off, we heard the news of Zaniolo pretty much officially not going to be at Euro 2020, 2021. It's a big loss, Mass. And I like that he's working hard to get back onto the pitch. He has the goal to be back for World Cup 2022 the following year. So, but I think we can all agree that, and you mentioned it earlier, Mas, to really not to rush this, right? Not to rush. This is a young player. This is could be a star for A, the Azzurri, and B, anywhere, any team he plays for.
On the national
level.
But
on wherever he plays, he'll be a star. I think personally, we don't want to rush him. He's already had 2, like you mentioned, Mas. And you know what? It's sad because we had high hopes that we're always thinking, well, we're doing shows, we're doing podcasts talking about Azzurri, or we're just talking amongst ourselves. We're thinking about who's going to get called up, and they're always in the back of our mind. We're like, oh wait, maybe Zaniolo is going to be there too, maybe as an X factor. Now we know that he probably won't be there or will not be there. Sorry.
I think he ruled himself out officially.
Exactly right. So we can close that. We can breathe that sigh of relief that he's going to get better, and we can go on from there. Enjoy the fans that are going to be there, like you mentioned, and hopefully the Azzurri can really do something in this Euro. Because I can tell you, Mas, we're stoked. We know we speak to you in our WhatsApp group. Everybody's pumped, right?
Team looks great.
It does look great. And I think we can have you back on maybe later on when we talk about Azzurri closer to the tournament, because I feel like you have a lot to say about the Azzurri as well.
Oh, for sure. Just to touch back on what you said about Zaniolo, and I think he ruled himself out. And for once,
yeah, he did.
As younger guys too, like imagine being called up for your national team. That's like every kid's dream when you're growing up playing soccer, right?
For sure.
To kind of set aside that to look at the longevity of your career, because you do have the talent. And he's not rushing himself. He's got a head on his shoulders, so he's gonna have to take the right necessary steps to really fully recover and get back to 100%. I'm glad he's not rushing himself, because I'm sure it hurts him knowing that he can't go play. So for a young guy of his age, good on him. And honestly, it's good that he's looking at the longevity of his career, because those injuries, they're very, very finicky, especially in a sport like soccer.
Especially the knees, yeah.
Yeah,
right. And
so good on him. Yeah. The rest of the team will step up in his place. It's not a problem. Look to 2022. He comes back, gets a year under his belt playing also. He's going to be great. Good on him.
Exactly. And I think that's the one benefit. It's the one benefit of having another tournament so close. Especially the World Cup. It's, the biggest tournament, in soccer.
How close it was between the World and the Euro. It's nuts.
Exactly. So, you know what?
Bring more Calcio.
Exactly. That's it. Fingers crossed for Zaniolo, healthy recovery. Not a speedy one, a healthy one. And Mas, that's pretty much all we had for you tonight. Questions and Roma, and I guess now Azzurri chat. Gianni's been wanting you to come on for so long. We finally made it happen. We're so thankful that you got, you took the time out of your night, Mas, to come on. Again, we're super appreciative. Anything you want to shameless plug, the floor is yours, my friend.
I mean, look,
we'll definitely have you on soon.
You'll catch a lot of angry Roma ranting on all my platforms, mixed in with a bunch of other stuff. I'm not strictly Calcio, but I know I follow. So if anyone wants to kind of interact on that level, Instagram, I'm mass.riccio, so mas.riccio. Twitter at mass148. Don't be shy, guys. You'll see just talk to me. You guys want to talk Calcio? Whoever wants to reach out, by all means, I can do it. I can do that too. You can catch me on those two platforms, guys. That's pretty much it.
Beautiful.
Thank you for having me. I mean, I really appreciate it. I'm not your typical guest coming on with his own podcast as well, but I could have the knowledge to make up for it. So,
and we appreciate it, Bello. You know what? It was really great. You brought a lot of knowledge, and we had to show some Montreal, some local love tonight.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Roma Facebook group that I'm a part of won't roast me because I'm I'm a lot more level than a lot of them in that group. They're great. They're a great bunch. It's interesting to see everyone's point of view. So hopefully I don't get too much flack from the rest of the fan base. But
you mean
being a bit more grounded.
You mean people have extreme opinions on Facebook? No, I never heard that.
Oh, but no, it's great. It's a great community. So you know what? Thank you guys for having me on. Hopefully at the end of the season or maybe before the Euros, we can maybe do a post-mortem on Roma's season and talk Azzurri. Looking forward to the summer, guys.
Yeah,
definitely.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Ball over the top, and Kwame has the pace 2-on-1. If you can just work it through. Wonderful from Kwame. Vlahovic! And the comeback is on. Dusan Vlahovic. The two young Fiorentina forwards combine.
You guys know I like to do a bit of quizzes here on the Calcio guys, right? Adreano Donardo, Gianni Del Colli, I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni. If I tell you this, this thing happened for the first time in the Serie A this weekend. Do you know what it is?
I think so. I actually think I know this one.
Gianni,
this time know? I didn't really study, but I think I kind of know this one. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I hope it's this that I'm gonna say. But if it's not, I'm going to say
first,
it
I'm going to get Gianni. Do you know? I know you had an exam yesterday, so you didn't have time to study. But
is it the fact that there was a Serie A game broadcasted in the U.S.?
There we go. So yeah. Johnny hit it on the head. I was thinking the same thing. Fiorentina Atalanta first Serie A game. It was on ABC. First time ever being broadcasted. Nationwide in the States. Personally, I mean, first off, the game delivered. In terms of action, in terms of goals, in terms of, some VAR, some penalties, some everything, right? I think it really showcased a good game. Maybe not for the defensive junkies of the world there, but it was a good game, and I'm glad that it ended up being a good game. I didn't want a blowout. I didn't want a boring snooze fest. It delivered. I was watching on ABC. It looked crisp. It looked clear. Matteo Bonetti, Mark Donaldson looking good as well, commenting the game. And you know what? That's a big thing for Serie A. Not only I know it was in the States and covering the North American market. I think is huge because we all know there's a lot of us out here in North America across the pond. There's a lot of fans and a lot of exposure to be had. And I'm glad that this happened for the first time. With maybe the influence of American owners in Rocco Commisso at Fiorentina. I don't know if that played a part, but nevertheless, it was a good game, action-packed, 5-goal thriller. Atalanta came out top with the 3-2, but again, Vlahovic, Zapata, it was just a good game.
Yeah, and it's the perfect game to sell too, because how do you attract a casual fan? You show some excitement. You need action. You need goals, right? And Atalanta's in the past 2 seasons have been one of the best offensive teams, and not just Italy, but in Europe in terms of scoring goals. So obviously, if you want to start getting the casuals involved, you want to show Americans soccer is not a boring 1-0 sport that everybody likes to make jokes or memes about. This was a 3-2 game. This was a 5-goal game, and all the goals were pretty great, excitement from the beginning. So that's how you sell soccer to the casual market. I don't want to say American market because it's kind of insulting because there are good diehard fans in America. I want to say the casual market.
North America.
North American market, the MLS market, where
whatever.
Mind you, MLS fans normally watch Europe. I would say just the casual market, just to like somebody's floating on their TV they know a bit of soccer because soccer is not so hard to know with the rules. And they just, let me put on the game, and then they see a nice 3-2 excitement going on between Fiorentina and Atalanta. So fantastic choice, and it paid off very well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. What you said, selling. Considering Zapata, Vajovic, they each get 2 goals, it's a perfect game. There were 5 other games in the Serie A this weekend that finished 1-0. The Monday night football game. If we're gonna go the American style, the Monday night football game between Benevento and Sassuolo, the Zerbi Derby. Finished
I'm pretty sure it was an own goal.
Yeah,
too,
I was just about to say it finished 1-0
right?
with an own goal at the 45th minute. So. The perfect
Incredible.
game to sell to the Serie A. And it was cool, too, because, we were able to watch, we catch ABC, in Canada also. So we were able to watch it. First time I pretty much watched a game with, Bonetti and Donaldson in full. Obviously, you see the highlights all the time. You know how good they are. So that was cool. Got
Marcotti coming in at halftime, too. I like to see him, too.
On the zone, we never get halftime talk. And for once, they actually did
exactly.
that.
Exactly.
It was an okay match day. Spezia Crotone 3-2, late goals from Spezia. Lazio scored some late goals. Napoli, Osimhen scored, I think it's 2 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Gianni?
Yeah.
Good for him.
I believe so too, actually. Let me fact check myself, but it was. It's 2 games in a row. It's still not against, let's say, the stronger teams, but he's picking up pace. I've said it many times before that he hasn't had a chance to really showcase himself. It's not 2 games in a row because the Juve game he didn't score.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So it was a 2 out of the last 3 or something.
But still, he's starting to get into his groove, get into his zone. So, I'm happy for him. I'm ecstatic because he's a player that is the future for Napoli. He didn't, like we said before many times, De Laurentiis didn't buy him just to have him for a one-off season. He's bought because he expects him to be there for at least 5 years. I can see him staying for Napoli for 5 years and then see what happens from there. So, great game by Napoli. A nice 2-0 wins, always convincing. That Fabian Ruiz goal was beautiful. The play that happened right before it, fantastic. And they were that's the kind of Napoli I enjoy watching. That's what they miss the most: the creativity, the great crisp passing plays, and the finish that comes along with it. And this is coming from a group that they know each other very well. It's kind of been the same core from the beginning, for a while now. So they know where they are. They know how they play. They have that mesh. And hopefully this type of momentum continues because they're not that far off from a top 4 finish. They still have the ability to get there. The loss to Juventus was a bit backbreaking, but Juve was the better team last week. So it's
2 points.
It's a fumble, but it's not a fall from the hurdle. It's just a little stumble, let's say. So overall, I was pretty happy about the result.
Mertens. And now Victor Osimhen, he's got half a yard, and he finishes it. Napoli will be going home with the points. That's a big goal for the Azzurri and a massive strike for him personally.
Adri, between Milan and Juve, it's kind of a bit of a parallel now. Last weekend they played Sampdoria, or rather 2 weekends ago at this point. They play Sampdoria, they tie 1-1. It was a 6:30 game. I wake up, I see that score, I message you, I say, I hope you didn't watch this game. Right after Juve ties Torino 2-2, and you tell me the same thing. I hope you didn't waste your time watching it. Fast forward to match day 30. Milan wins 3-1 against Parma, and Juve wins 3-1 against Genoa. And now this is where the Calcio guys has a group hug because Inter plays Napoli this weekend, right? So Inter plays Napoli. Mm-hmm. So Juve and Milan need Inter to lose, so we need Napoli to win, So let's we're all gonna hug each other this weekend, right?
So we're all Napolitan this weekend. Is that what's happening?
I guess so.
My boy Gattuso's there, so for me, it's no harm, no foul. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to continue on that point, but it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. You speak to some Inter fans. It's a lock now. The Scudetto. You speak to others. They still don't want to say it officially. In my eyes, I think unless it's like the collapse of the century, it's
exactly.
theirs, right? Like I think we can all agree on that. Unless they really drop the ball and it's like end of the world type stuff, and they lose all these games coming in the end of the season. But listen, guys, if we're realists, I don't think that's happening. For Milan's point, and I can definitely say for Juve's point, and Nick can definitely agree with this. Top four is a definite objective now. That's what they have to focus on. These 8 games, for Milan's point of view, they're finals. 8 finals to finish off the year. You got to finish strong. And even for Napoli too, Gianni just mentioned, they're still in the hunt for champions. They're 2 points out, behind Atalanta, 3 behind Juve. Right? It's not all lost for them either. Yes, if they make Europa League, okay, fine. But again, them two, they're in the race. So I think this from 2 to 4, it's going to be a dogfight between those two teams. I know our boy, Jerry Mancini wants to say Lazio is going to get into the Champions League too, or has a chance to make it into Champions League. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's possible. But I think personally, but for me, it's Milan, Atalanta, Juve, Napoli. And I think really Lazio is really that wild card team that can, if they can, mesh up some wins, they can spoil the party for one of those teams that I mentioned. But in terms of Milan's game against Parma, listen, I'm happy. They were able to rebound after the weekend before's performance against Samp. And for me, that was unacceptable. They came after Parma, and they really it looked like a new team. It looked like a different team this week, and it was good. Rebic's goal, fantastic. Play with Ibra. The Kessie goal again with Theo Hernandez, Ibra in the mix there too. Kessie staying on side, scoring from open play, which we don't see often. But listen, hey, he's gotten up to I believe 10 goals on the season. I think the last player to do that for Milan, I don't remember 100%. I think they were saying it's Seedorf. So I was like a midfield player. So listen, that's some high praise for Kessie. He's been a rock for us, Frank the Tank that we like to call him. And yeah, I mean, for me, the red card for Ibra, I don't know, that like this whole lost in translation BS. I can't get my head around it. Ibra said one thing. What was it? Maresca apparently heard another thing. He turned around, gives him the red card straight away. I didn't know what to think of it. You listen to the audio. Again, we're talking about no fans before. It's I guess the one beauty of having no fans. We hear everything on the sidelines. If it's Gattuso screaming, if it's Conte yelling, if it's the players getting into it or the referee too. So, you see clips online and it's like he didn't even say anything offensive. He didn't say anything derogatory, anything really towards the ref. Again, if you want to, call a spade, or just kind of, look on the other aspect of things. Why is he even doing that? Why is he even? You just keep your mouth shut. You're a professional. You're a veteran player on this young team. There's no need for that. But again, in the heat of the moment, things come out. But again, it wasn't anything bad. So for me, that was a bit BS. But I'm glad that they didn't damper everything. It dampers, the game against Genoa coming up. Again, 6:30 a.m. at home. Those two factors seem to be like the worst possible thing for Milan. They can't get a result or a good result in that time slot, especially at home as well. So I'm worried about that. But at the same time, I think these guys have to do it. They have to know that these last 8 games are 8 finals, and they need the maximum amount of points because, again, people want to rag on Juve, not being the same Juve. They're only a point behind us. They're not out of anything, right? They're still there. Atalanta's another dangerous team that Gianni always likes to say, right? And Napoli too has been looking good now under Gattuso to these past couple of games. So I'm again, happy for the result. It's on to the next one for Milan, and they need maximum points from here on out.
Ibrahimovic, that's a tidy turn away from Man and a fine pass as well. And it's a beautiful goal. Sensational opening goal. Rebic fires it high into the top corner. Brilliantly set up by Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I guess we'll do our cards and MVPs now.
Sure. Where do you want to start?
Gianni, start.
All right, so I guess we'll go with the MVP. I want to give a shout out to Vlahovic and Zapata for getting 2 goals each, especially in that game. But I kind of want to go a bit off the board for Spezia. I will give my MVP of the week to Erlich, a goal and assist, helped them get that very nice result. They're trying to stay alive in Serie A. They're not that far off from the bottom 3, so any kind of slip up can be costly. So for them, I get a nice 3-2 win versus Crotone. Keeps them spaced away from anything from that ever happening. So I'm going to give it to Erlich for his goal and assist versus Crotone.
Farias, chance for a cross. Goes to the back post, the header over the crossbar, and it's there! Amazing scenes here. The ball coming off the crossbar, and it fell to Martin Erlich.
Idri?
Yeah, and just another side note with Spezia, just another player, Daniele Verde, has looked good as well. He's another guy that was promising at Roma back in the day. He's bounced around all types of leagues, all types of teams, but he might have put in goal of the year nominee last week, I think it was, and again he scored again in that game. So he's another shout for me. Gallo Belotti getting on the board against Udinese was another shout. He's been another player that, again, I wouldn't say week in and week out, but when he's on, and it's always great to see him scoring. For me, it's huge. Gianni mentioned the obvious ones in the Fiorentina Atalanta, but we were talking in Roma before with Mass. Had a great conversation. And, I'm going to give my MVP to Mayoral this week. And it's not only just maybe this week. I think it's an accumulation of weeks that Mayoral, again, I don't know if it's the long-term solution, like Mas mentioned, for Roma up top. I think they do need another piece, up top in the attack. But listen, Mayoral, beautiful goal against Bologna. That little dink up back to himself over the keeper to score the goal. I mean that was fantastic. It takes a lot of confidence, a lot of balls to pull that off at that speed. We're talking Serie A speed. We're not talking about double A. Double A if it's Saint Michel soccer or what Saint Leonard soccer or DDO soccer, whatever. It's none of that. It's Serie A speed. Mayoral, it worked out for him. And again, I think this is a young player that I think Roma needs to keep. Again, and that's forgetting even if it's about the future or the long-term future, for the now and for how long ever he stays, I think it's an important piece for their attack. And if it's performances like this week, that he's scoring goals, he scored goals in Europa League, he's been looking good as of late, it's going to be huge for this team. So for me this week, with the accumulation of everything he's contributed to Roma, Mayoral gets my MVP.
And for me, I'm gonna have to give it to a pair of players, or rather a pair of brothers, the Milinkovic-Savic brothers. Vanja Milinkovic-Savic played in goal for Torino. Kind of the forgotten player, to be honest. He doesn't play much. He kind of bounced around, between Spal, Torino, and in other leagues. Comes in against Udinese, makes a couple of saves. Next day, his older brother, Sergei. Vanja looks much older, but apparently
Wait,
Sergei's
he's older?
Yeah, Sergei's older. Vanja is, I think, a 97, and Sergei's a 95.
Get the hell out of
here. Yeah. He's still pretty young, Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, so, he might have a career eventually, He's still pretty young.
Nah.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. Sorry to cut you off there. I can't believe it.
So,
that's crazy.
Day later, Sergei Milinkovic-Savic scores the game winner against Verona. So, their parents must be proud of them. So my MVPs are going to go to the Milinkovic-Savic brothers.
And fallen for De Paul. And this time, he did test Milinkovic-Savic. Milinkovic-Savic, very sharp with his reflexes.
Are we in for late drama at the Bintagordi? Stadium which Lazio have enjoyed playing at in recent years. The ball into the middle. It's in! It's been 91 minutes, but Lazio finally break through Sergei Milinkovic-Savic.
All right, we'll do our cards now. Gianni, your card?
So even though one of my teams beat them, I'm giving Bologna a yellow card because that game the result wasn't a complete tale of that game. Bologna offense specifically is getting the yellow card for me because they've gotten a lot of prime chances and fumbled on a lot of them and weren't able to finish. And I think they should have done better. I'm happy Roma got away with the W, but that's a game that we stole. That's a result that was stolen by us. So Bologna's offense gets my yellow card for the week.
This is definitely going to be another yellow.
Adri?
Yeah. I don't know. I was looking for cards, and just one thing that I'm going to give it a yellow card because I love him I like him as a player. I think he's a fantastic player, but something that's a bit alarming and something that I couldn't believe. We follow try to follow all the games of Serie A. We try to really look at everything and pinpoint everything and bring everything forward, but I didn't realize at first after seeing it afterward that Ciro Immobile hasn't scored in 749 minutes, Serie A minutes. That dates back to February 7th, I believe. Again, I don't remember what team it was against, but I believe it was February 7th was the last time he scored a goal in Serie A. Again, a bit alarming for me. A player that, we speak about quite a bit on this show. You go on Calcio Twitter, you'll definitely see his name pop up quite a few times as well. If it's good or if it's bad, we know our boy Jerry Mancini will defend him to the grave. But again, this is not a huge knock on Immobile because I think, again, sometimes if the team as a whole is not performing, which if it wasn't for Nick's MVP and Milinkovic-Savic scoring that header, we're talking about a 0-0 game, right? And another game that goes by with Lazio, dropping points. So, again, alarming for me for Immobile to, especially at this point of the season, ending off the season. I hope that in these 8 last games, he shuts everybody up and he does score some goals, especially heading into the Euros, which we're all doing. The sign of the cross that he can get back onto his Scarpa d'Oro type of season and type of mentality in front of goal, where he can score a lot of goals for Italy. But for me this week, just the alarming fact that Immobile still hasn't scored in all this time. Again, not a huge knock because I still love him as a player, but definitely something to scratch your head about. So for me this week, my yellow card goes to that situation.
It's a late challenge, surely maybe the first yellow of the match.
Literally the worst time to get cold, right before a major tournament.
But you know what? Maybe he gets cold now, finishes the season off strong, and then we can think more positive, going into the Euros. But again, I gotta agree, it's not the greatest time to start getting cold feet, especially for Lazio.
And for me, I'm gonna have to give it to Genoa in particular, their defense. You guys played different sports, growing up. Any sport that you play, you're always told play to the whistle, and that's the exact opposite of what Genoa did. And this is a professional football match. And they're professionals. They're getting paid for this, and they did not play to the whistle. Through ball comes for Weston McKennie. Looks offside. Everybody thought he was offside. No whistle.
Yeah, it was close. It was close.
So he goes. He scores. The linesman never raised his flag.
Even
I didn't even
McKennie
celebrate.
checked too.
What?
He didn't
even checked himself too.
He didn't.
He
didn't celebrate much.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't even celebrate. I just sat on my couch because I knew it was going to get called back. But then it's like, okay, he puts it in. When these offside now with VAR, it's like, okay, you let the play finish, you let it develop, you see what happens, and then you raise your flag. But then it's like you see the replay and you're like, oh, okay, that kind of looked onside. They go to VAR, clearly onside because of Giallorossi. And completely Genoa's fault that they didn't play to the whistle. Obviously, you could argue Giallorossi was, pretty bad job. He should have held the line a bit better. It's just it's a bad look. At that point, it was a 2-1 game. They're starting to come back in it. One mental lapse. They literally let the guy walk in and score, and it's 3-1, and then it's game over. So, even before VAR, these defenders raising their hands for offside, it's like, just defend. Let the linesman worry about offside. The whistle comes when the whistle comes, and then we'll talk about it later, So, for me, I'm going to have to give that as a yellow.
And he now sees a flash of yellow before his eyes.
Anyways, that will do it for us. Adri, where can people find us on social media?
Yeah, well, first off, before we really wrap up, this is a huge weekend in Serie A. Guys, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the calendar and who's playing who, but we got what? We got Atalanta, Juve, which, Nick, I don't know how nervous or how pumped you are for, but that's a huge game. We got Napoli, Inter that we mentioned earlier, for Gianni's sake, and even Inter's sake for that matter. Can they go, 12, 13 games straight without losing, coming after the winter break? Definitely possible. But again, I think that'll be another great game. And not even just great games on paper, but with a lot of implications as well, right? These are 3 huge points at stake for these teams. And again, Milan's got to get their job done as well against Genoa. So there's a lot of eyes this weekend, Serie A. I hope everybody can catch the games this weekend. But like we mentioned every week, guys, we're so thankful for everybody that gives us some support and follows us and shares and whatnot. Go follow our boy Mass on his platforms, and maybe the Brian Constante fan club account that is still in the making. But again, jokes aside, guys, we love everybody. Where you can find us, at the Calcio Guys on all social media platforms. So that's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Clubhouse, all of them. Where you can find our podcast at the Calcio Guys. You can search up on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Give it a like, subscribe, share, and reach out to us to talk anything Calcio, and we'll be back next week to talk a lot more Serie A.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Bye.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano DiNardo, Gianni Dellacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jazar.